Welcome back to the Fast Break. Friends, it is Thursday, June 11th, and what the hell happened last night? What the hell happened last night was the biggest comeback in NBA Finals history as the Knicks came back from down 29 points to stun the Spurs and shock the world and shock me as well too. I'm frankly still in shock. That was one of the most electric, out of body things I've ever experienced. Possibly the greatest night in Madison Square Garden. And it ends up with the Knicks going up 3-1 in the 2026 NBA Finals. What an amazing night if you're a Knicks fan. What a tragedy if you're a Spurs fan. And frankly, I still can't believe what I just watched or last night. I am still in shock. Todd, what are your thoughts on it? I know we talked about it a little bit last night. Just words are kind of hard to still talk about it last night. It was just a phenomenal game. The maybe the best finals game of all time. Todd, where are you at? Where's your head at today after last night?
I mean, someone go check on OG and Anobi. I mean, just a complete flatliner. I mean, after the game, they're like interviewing him. He's like, yeah, I mean, he shot it. I went and grabbed a rebound and tipped it in. Like, just a complete serial killer, ice cold, um, greatest 10 seconds by a New York Knicks player in the history of the NBA. The block, the defensive stop with Fox, and then the tip in. So many things come to mind. What the fuck are you doing, De'Aaron Fox? Why is Wemby looking at the rim and not going and getting the ball when it's 7-9? Mitch Johnson, you deserve a lot of. I haven't seen his press conference yet, but I'd be disappointed if he did not take full accountability for taking the loss. Obviously, all the players are going to do that too. But man, just a complete gag job by the San Antonio Spurs. To be fair to them, analytically, they're up 3-1. So, they have that in their back pocket.
Mate,
I don't know
I
where we
think
go
Kenny
from here.
Atkinson might have done a better job.
Yeah. I mean, he only blew a 22-point lead, so it just still doesn't really make sense to me. I mean, they had Jeremy Sohan in the game, and I was just like, man, this is over. Like, Mike Brown's just throwing stuff at the wall, seeing if it'll stick. Alvarado stuck. He had some major plays. Obviously, really picked up the slack from Landry Shamet, who hasn't been the same player this series, particularly these last two games. The fact that they were able to survive that game from Towns and that game from Bridges, and I'm so confused about how that happened. I think the major issue is probably just the idea that the Spurs were gassed at the end of that game and clearly were making mental mistakes. Wemby missing those free throws was just unbelievable. Just unbelievable. Unbelievable. I gotta say, kind of reminds me of the 2008 NBA Finals when the Celtics came back against the Lakers. That was the first thing that I thought of whenever it was tight in the fourth quarter, and that series the Celtics ended up finishing in 6 games. That was a crucial game 4 that swung the series. And this is a crucial game 4 that swung series. I honestly think that probably decided the championship. I still think that the series could go 7. Because again, I mean, really, the Spurs have outplayed the Knicks, but man, the Knicks just feel like they've been touched by Jesus Christ himself, and props to them for that.
Props to them for that. Yeah, first of all, the apology to Jose Alvarado better be as loud as the disrespect, okay, Todd? because you're like, he's not gonna be a factor in this series, and now he's been a factor in 2 games. So, he was nice off the bench, a couple of big shots for him. Um, I mean, it's just kinda unfathomable how we got there. Spurs scored 78 points in the first half, they scored 30 in the second half. Biggest drop off from one half to another in the playoffs in the last 70 years.
They
How
were
did the Spurs get it?
historically great from 3 in the first half, like,
I
just
was just
absolute laser show, and then in the second half, had the worst performance offensively by a team in NBA Finals history, like, the dichotomy of that is fucking insane, and I think that's why our brains have not it's just it seems impossible because it's like, dude, these guys can't miss, and then all they did was build fucking brick houses.
So in the first half, they shot and made 14 threes, which is a finals record. They shot 54% from three. I think that went down to like 20% or maybe even more, less in the second half. So and like we talked about, the lack of adjustment, Wemby not getting near the paint, him shooting threes. I've been saying it all series, like, dude, get next to the rim, bro. Get next to the rim. You are 7'6". When guys aren't making shots and things are going bad, go next to the rim and get yourself an easy bucket. The possession where he shot 2 threes back to back off of an offensive rebound and missed both of them was infuriating. Um, and then props to the Knicks. I mean, they shot great in the second half, got those offensive rebounds that we were talking about, and the Spurs just started throwing the ball away in the second half. And it looked like a young team that has given up multiple leads in this playoff run before. And frankly, it just completely fell apart. The Knicks, not to take any credit away from them, because they came back and they shot great, ratcheted up the defensive pressure, got really physical with Wemby in the second half, which obviously threw him off. But it is 50-50 between a Knicks comeback and uh, a Spurs choke because they started doing the bad passes like they did in game 2, just chucking up threes that the Knicks love for them to take. They're like, sure, De'Aaron Fox and Wemby, take as many threes as you guys want. That's exactly what we want you doing. Another another big part of the comeback was Castle obviously getting those 4 fouls with 10 minutes left in the third. When he went out, it allowed Jalen Brunson, who had a bad first half and was about to really have some nasty things in the New York media with him and Towns written about him. It allowed him to get cooking because obviously with Castle on him, his shooting has been worse throughout this series. So there's just a bunch of little things that went into the biggest comeback in NBA Finals history. Um, Fox, where do we start with this? Do you wanna start
Is
with Wemby? Do you wanna start with Fox? Do you wanna start
Well, I
on
mean,
the
I
Knicks
wanna give
side of this?
Brunson I wanna give Brunson his credit, obviously,
Yeah,
but I think we would be remiss to not mention the degree of difficulty of some of these shots that this guy's fucking making. It would be dumb, and I think he would be one of the first to admit to you, like, yeah, some of that is luck. So the degree of difficulty, that and one off the wrong foot lefty bank shot mid-range that he got, I was like, "All right." Wasn't it over Wemby? Oh, he also hit a 3 over Wemby that I was like,
3 in the
"Oh."
corner over Wemby.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I obviously an incredible player, one of the best offensive engines in the NBA, but like I said, team touched by God is a more powerful team than, a team that's been touched by extraterrestrials. Um, Now, one thing I also wanted to, yeah, I know I needed to tread carefully there. One thing I also wanted to respond to was just the idea that, um, yeah, you know what? I'll apologize to Alvarado, but I mean,
Thank you.
yeah, I mean, Yeah, I mean, you gotta give him credit. You gotta give him credit. I mean, again,
And
that
that's all I
3 that
wanted. Little
literally
guard
went
stand up. Little
that
guard stand up, baby.
that 3 that was that was, like, in and out, that just I just couldn't believe that. One thing that I think should be mentioned is just Mitch Johnson's inability to get control of this game, down the stretch. Wemby looked so gassed. Uh, I felt like Carter Bryant should have been playing more. Um, and they just played their guys too much. Obviously Castle getting into the foul trouble, like you mentioned, was huge. I thought Harper played a tremendous game, and I really thought he should have been playing more too. Which is weird. Like you'd think, oh yeah, Fox and Vassell, those are the guys that you want out there. They're like the veterans, but seemed to me that Harper handled the game a lot better than they did. Fox, I mean, you're up, you're winning the game, and you have the ball with less than 24 seconds on the clock. You don't shoot the ball, dude. You just dribble the clock. You make them foul you. What if the Knicks don't
And
foul him?
and to
And they just
not
win, which they
and
obviously
to
would
not
foul them. They obviously would foul them, but I'm just saying, like, Fox, that was we don't have point guards anymore. What the fuck, man?
and to not at least realize that you shouldn't go to the rim and keep dribbling once you realize it's OG Anunoby that is behind you. I mean, like, I get it. If it's Jose Alvarado chasing behind you, maybe go up and get your two. But not only should he compounded on a dumb mistake. Like once he was driving to the rim, already a bad decision, dribble out, waste clock. But once you already make that mistake, to not realize that it's OG Anunoby there and to still go up is compounded on his mistake. Now, to be fair, and this is going to sound stupid, he did get fouled. OG Anunoby slapped the shit out of his arm, but I know nobody wants to hear that, and you're not going to call that in that scenario, but it was pretty blatant when you slow it down. So I do feel bad for Fox on that one, because even if he at least makes that three, people are not, or makes that basket to go up three, people are not, shitting on him as much. It's a bad day to
It's
be
the
Fox.
wrong
It's a
play,
bad day to
even if
be
he
Fox.
makes it. Even if he makes it, you're giving them the ball back with a chance to tie. You have the
Right.
ball. Make them give them the ball back at you. You have to force them to make the right basketball play, which is fouling you or obviously trying to steal the ball, but fouling you so that they can get the ball back to try to win. It's an unforced error. It's almost like, oh, football. I have the ball and they're out of timeouts and I'm winning and there's less than a minute left. Fuck it, I'm gonna throw the ball. So like
Yeah.
I'm so disgusted with the coaching and De'Aaron Fox. It really unbelievable.
I might have been more okay with him like spazzing out and throwing the ball straight up into the air. I mean, at least throwing the ball straight up in the air would have wasted more time than he did. I mean, he ran out 3 seconds when he was down there. Um, I mean, who knows? Maybe he brings out, gets fouled. It's only 2 more seconds and he misses both the free throws because he has not been very clutch in the playoffs here. But at least you would have made the right decision. He wasn't great all game. Let's not even just focus on the last couple of plays. He did make that big three down the stretch, so I'll give him that. But there was also several other threes and decisions that were just not great. And this is a guy that has only played in one playoff series and lost. So this was the thing about San Antonio is the experience. Is it ever going to come up and bite them in the ass? We thought once they got through OKC, okay, it's not. This is not going to be something that affects them. It doesn't matter what their age is. And it is showing ugly, ugly here in this finals. This is 2 games now that were well in hand and complete choke jobs. And a lot of it goes on Mitch Johnson. He deserves a lot of blame. um, free throw or timeout calling, offensive adjustments. I've just wanted Wemby to get more touches near the rim, and you just got to figure out how to do that. And you also, like, you got to be Harper not taking a shot the last 8 minutes of the game is fucking egregious. It's egregious. He was so good in limited opportunities. And look, they made good plays coming out of the timeouts. So maybe he was really harping on it. And this is just a young team where it went out of their heads after 2 minutes back into gameplay. So I guess, but man, a lot of these guys are smart, smart kids. Like, I think Castle and Wemby and Harper are very smart players. I can't imagine that they would completely lose what Mitch Johnson had told them just a minute after the timeouts. So I'm going to take it as Mitch Johnson was clearly just not making the right adjustments. So it's on him. Tough game for Fox. Wemby was brutal down the stretch. I think it was 4 of 16 in the second half. It makes it look worse because a couple of those were like he had to tip the ball a couple of times, which counted as shots, but still not great. Um, and a guy that was very clutch and seemed calm and cool and in control that at the very least you would have thought can make a couple of free throws down the stretch. That's when I was like, oh man, these kids are way too in their head right now. And that MSG crowd was getting on them. And it was really loud. It was really rocking in there. And this is the first time that I think I saw the San Antonio Spurs this honestly whole playoff run be legit rattled, rattled. Um, and I'm interested to see if they can come out of it. I think they still have a shot in Game 5, but they're gonna have to. We're gonna have to see some real, real mental toughness from them.
Yeah,
You think they got a shot in
I
Game
gotta
5?
say,
Think they got a shot in Game 5?
yeah, no, I do. I think they have a probably as good of a shot as anybody to ever come back from 3-1 in the NBA Finals. They have 2 of the games at home. They're playing a franchise that hasn't won a championship in over 50 years. And well, they have the best player. So yeah, I think that they have a pretty good shot as anybody to come back from 3-1, but that percentage chance is still pretty small.
Yeah. Okay, so we've shit on the Spurs. Let's talk a little good about the Knicks. I know we've talked about Brunson and Brunson's going to get the key to the city. He is going to never pay for a drink or a meal again in his life in New York as long as they can get one more win here. He's already a legend getting him this close, but this takes him to, I don't know, Willis Reed, Derek Jeter, you know, probably somebody on the New York Rangers. I don't know hockey, but takes him to that level in the city. And I mean, if you're a legend like that in New York, you're a legend like that pretty much in the entire city or entire country. So it's gonna get really real for him. But I also want to talk about OG Anunoby. I mean, this guy, he just makes unreal plays in unreal situations. He's already a champion with Toronto. You kind of didn't hear about him for a few years because he's on those weird, kind of good Toronto teams. Then he's on these Knick teams, but he's not necessarily a featured player on it. And he just keeps showing up and finding himself in these monumental spots, making monumental plays. I mean, um I just saw a video on X, the everything app. It's all happening on X, uh, of him hitting that game-winning three in Game 3 of the 2020 series against Boston. I forgot about that one. I mean, this guy has real moments, and talk about key to the city. I mean, for that block and that block alone, as long as tip, sorry, for just if the Knicks go on to win this series, that tip will be framed. It will be in kids' bedrooms. I mean, it's an all-time play by him to inbound the ball, immediately sprint to the rim, and that is a tough tip, dude. His arm is 5 feet away from the rim within traffic to tip that perfectly to go in is just frankly, let's talk about it as one of the more athletic things we've ever seen. I'm putting it up there with the LeBron block as far as finals moments there. I'm not even kidding. I think it is that monumental. And we got to start talking about this guy in a different light. Todd, I know you were asking a question. I mean, they win this series. He's got 2 rings, being a decent part of both of them. Is this guy a Hall of Famer now?
Yeah, OG Anunoby has been a really great special third, fourth banana role player for like a long time now, obviously with those Raptors teams, like you mentioned. And you look back on it and the Knicks acquiring him, this is before I believe they got him before the Rudy Gobert trade. The Rudy Gobert trade really reset the market in the NBA for, what kind of packages were out there for guys like that. So they were able to pair RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly and a second round pick in order to get him. Now, obviously, he had the $200 million plus contract coming up, so that was part of the reason that they were able to get him for those players was because a lot of people weren't sure about paying a guy that cannot be your second or first best player over $200 million. What would that look like? They get him for that kind of package, which, at the time did feel like the Knicks got him on a good deal, but still the Raptors were getting 2 younger players. Obviously, they've had some success with those younger players developing, for this year pairing with Scotty Barnes. But what OG just did, it definitely makes it. It was already worth it, but now he obviously becomes a New York legend. Funny enough, people talk about how Jalen Brunson, like he really saved his ass, with that win. I disagree. I don't think that guy is ever going to be able to do anything wrong. I don't think that the Knicks fans will ever blame him for anything. This loss was going to be on Mike or them going 2-2 back to San Antonio and possibly losing the series. It was going to be all on Mike Brown. It was going to be all on Karl Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges. Those have been the guys, and a little bit of Mitchell Robinson, but you can't really blame him as much. Maybe the bench a little bit. They're not going to come at OG and Brunson because they like them too much. Josh Hart. They're not going to go at those guys because they like them too much. Um, they're never going to be able to. They basically already have the keys to the city. Karl Anthony Towns and Bridges and Brown, I think, are the biggest winners if they win the series or losers if they lose the series because they'll become legends if they win the series and if they lose the series it will be known as that they're the reason why. So now, yeah, OG Anunoby, really good player. I think he's been more than a third or fourth banana for this team. I think he's been probably their second best player. And hey, if you put some money on him for Finals MVP before the series, you're looking good right now.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal, and the crazy thing is like that entire comeback is just Brunson and Anunoby. Like Towns finished with 13, only took 5 shots. Uh, Josh Hart really got his butt saved because if San Antonio wins that after the smoked layup with, a minute and a half to go, that would have put them up. Um, if they lose that game, especially like by 1, which it could have been, Josh Hart is having a bad night, especially with, just not shooting well in a couple of these games as well too. Bridges is really the tough one. 3 for 9 with 7 points and getting benched uh during the comeback basically. Unfortunately, he's always going to get tied to the 5 first round picks, but it is crazy because they did 5 first-round picks for a guy that really, at best, on this Knicks team is your 3rd best player at best, and most night is your 4th. So that's tough. But, like, there's just there really wasn't anybody else. It was just those 2 guys just dominating and coming back. Other than that, I mean, it's a tough stat sheet for all the supporting guys for the Knicks. So they really just it wasn't a barrage. I mean, it was at times for sure, but just smart playmaking and those 2 guys just making it happen. And they've been in a lot of series. Like Brunson, this is his 3rd deep run. Like conference finals are deeper. Like he's made for it. We've seen him do it time and time again. Uh, Towns has been in the playoffs a lot of years, couple with Minnesota every year since he got to the Knicks, the last few years since he got to the Knicks. Um, yeah, there's just a little bit more experience with those 2 guys. And Anunoby is a champion and has been through these battles and tribulations. Um, and that really showed. And the Spurs just have not. Like I said, it's their top 6 out of 8 guys first time in the playoffs. And this is just sometimes the shit that happens, even if it's never happened before in the history of the NBA finals. So, um, gosh, what a comeback. And I mean, the crowd, the city, the stars that were there last night. I mean, we got T Swizzle, Taylor Swift wearing a Stevie Nicks shirt, but Nicks is spelled Nicks. And then the other girl, I don't know who the other 2 girls were. Apparently, they're celebrities too. Todd, I don't know if you know them. Are wearing Nickelback, but it's spelled KNI. And then the other one was, gosh, forget what the other one was, but they're all front row. They got the Law and Order SVU. No politicians, I guess major ones in the house tonight. You got to think Trump and Mom Donnie are sweet, letting out a little sigh of relief that they didn't completely curse the Knicks. But yeah, a lot of stars out there. I mean, you got the Stillers, it's got all the guys. Chalamet's out there in his full Canadian tuxedo, full denim jacket, going absolutely haywire. Just that. I mean, that's the craziest crowd I think I've ever seen. I think so. I don't know if I can think of one that goes harder than that. Todd, can you?
In terms of like fame, or because Oklahoma City's crowd is better.
I mean, the frenzy last night, though. I
Yeah, I
mean,
don't know.
when
I
they
think a
fight,
lot of the people that go to the Knicks games are like really like uptight rich people. A lot of the people that are Knicks fans that aren't at the game are really pretty crazy and rabid. And obviously you see the videos on the street. But I mean, yeah, obviously the way that the game ended, yeah, the crowd is gonna get pretty crazy. But I don't know. I felt like that crowd was pretty dead for a lot of the
oh,
game.
for good
And
reason.
like the celebrities and the rich people, like it is cool, it's definitely worth mentioning. But dude, I gotta be honest, I just I'm already to a point now where I'm like, okay, I don't like the Knicks. I don't like them. I don't like their fans. I don't like a lot of things about them. So James Dolan.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I guess it's cool that they have all those celebrities. I mean, if the Lakers were in the NBA finals with like LeBron, there'd be a lot too. So um yeah, it was pretty cool.
I mean, yeah, they were all out last night. I just mean, the crowds have been louder for sure, obviously, but the frenzy when they pan to the crowd of just like people 20 seconds into like the timeout or minutes after the game was over, still jumping around, like shaking people around them, like disbelief. I don't know if I've ever quite seen that before. Um, so that's kind of what I was saying on that one. But yeah, no, I mean, it was a cool scene, but I understand what you're saying though. Like, first of all, the Knicks fans outside of the stadium are ridiculous, and I don't like any of those guys. Um, and yeah, like when they panned to James Dolan, who just a short time ago was known as the biggest piece of shit in the NBA as far as owners go, it does hurt to see him probably get a championship this year. So don't love that. Um, he's been on a little bit of a run with the Knicks resurgence and the Sphere doing so well. So um, finally learned to kind of stay out of it and shut up. So I guess that's a lesson for everybody. If you're ever in charge of something and you don't know what you're doing, shut up, stay out of the way, and just give money. If we could all be so lucky, you know. But yeah, but New York's having a moment right now. I just hope it doesn't rub off on any of their other sports. I don't need to be seeing the Yankees or or the Mets. I don't give a shit about the Mets. The Mets can win a championship, that's fine. But I don't want to be seeing, you know, the Yankees or the Giants or them winning a championship. The Jets, I guess, would be fine. You would hate that for sure. I wouldn't care too much, but um hopefully this run doesn't rub off on anyone else. Not to not not to shit on everybody else. Not like New York's won many championships in the last 30 years anyway. Besides the Liberty, shout out to the WNBA team. They got it done with Brianna Stewart and whatnot. But it's been a while since a lot of teams that have won a championship. So let's hope it doesn't get the city hot. But yeah, what it
Hey, well,
just
they still have to win on Saturday. So,
they do. They do. It's not over. I mean, let's look at it. The only team that's come back from 3-1 is the Cleveland Cavaliers in 2016. Ironically, we're exactly a decade from when that happened. Do we have the best player in the world, a la LeBron James? We might, but he's got to start playing like it. Does Wemby in him have back to back 41-point games and then a 30-point triple double? He could. He could. But I'm going to tell you right now, this Knicks team is not as kind of dead, I don't think, as that Warriors team was that pushed for the title or pushed for the uh, record all year long. So maybe that comes into factor a little bit here. The one thing I will say is if the Knicks can, or if the Spurs can come back, one thing that favors them a lot is, like you said earlier, Wemby's been getting tired after just having one game off. Well, for the rest of the series, he's got 2 games off between each game. So that favors the Spurs a lot. Uh, Obviously lets them calm down having a couple of days from this disaster, and it lets Wemby catch his legs a little bit. So I do think that the Spurs go back home and win Game 5. What do you, what are your kind of keys to if the Spurs can actually get this done and come back um, down 3-1?
yeah, I think obviously defensively, their energy just needs to be better than it was during the second half yesterday. And, I think I would just continue to try and incorporate Harper on the offensive end. It feels like the last 2 games, they won game 3 and then we're up by a lot in game 4 when he was super involved on offense. Part of the stretch where the Knicks closed it from, maybe a 16, 17 point game, brought it all the way down to 4. Harper wasn't involved in the offense at that point. Uh I know that, he had missed a couple shots, down the stretch and they went back to Castle. It's hard, with the guard situation there, it feels like maybe they have one too many guys and they need to kind of just give the keys to one person. But I don't know. Obviously, up to this point, it's worked with being able to kind of ride the hot hand. I thought Harper should have been, in control of the ball more late. I know, it'd be hard to say that. I mean, that's kind of hindsight. I think before it happened, I think it made sense to have Fox handling the ball. But the way that he played down the stretch makes me feel like, okay, well, clearly, like, yeah, he's been in the league a lot longer, but he has just as much experience, in these high pressure moments as Harper. Um, and he didn't come through. So Harper's the future, and really Fox is just a big contract role player for this team. A guy that, is probably a borderline top 30 guy in the NBA, that they've traded for on an overpaid contract because they could, because their best players were young. Uh, I really, really need him to have a better game in game 5 if Harper isn't going to be handling the ball late. And obviously, Wemby's got to get closer to the rim. A third of his shots are 3-pointers. And that's tough. I think part of that is because he's playing too many minutes. And he gets a little more complacent. Obviously, when he's inside of the 3-point arc, closer to the rim, he takes a lot more punishment and takes a lot more energy. It also requires him to go farther to get back on defense. So I think it, we've all played pickup. Sometimes we just take a shot, 3-pointer because we're tired instead of, trying to look for a better shot. I think they really need a game plan, something around getting him the ball down in the low post, getting him to the free throw line, and obviously, yeah, picking up the defensive intensity. The 3-point shooting, being able to be a laser show in the beginning of the game, and then becoming the worst shooting team. When they lost the game, there's not much you can do to control that outside of, look, you got to maybe just reel in some of the 3-pointers and attack the rim more, which is, something we've mentioned with the Celtics. But people don't mention that they're shooting too many threes. When they're an absolute fucking laser show and they're destroying the Knicks in the beginning of the game. So, um,
Yeah.
I I have a trouble saying, well, they got to shoot less threes and they got to go to the rim, because when they were shooting threes and making them, they were dominating by 29. So, um, I I find it more to be just keeping the defensive intensity high, and then, yeah, obviously when the shots aren't falling, making sure you're continuing to go to the rim. I think keeping the intensity high and the defensive end tends to lead to going to the rim more, just because you're probably getting more fast break points. You're probably not taking it out of bounds as often after a made bucket, but instead grabbing a rebound and then going the other end, and getting points in transition, and then also secondary offense. So uh, I think the Spurs will win game 5. I think it's going to be a crazy crowd. Um, I do think Wemby's mentally built for something like coming back from a 3-1 deficit. I do think that the Spurs, despite being young, do have a lot of the mental makeup to be able to do it. One thing I do question is Mitch Johnson's ability to lead them through a 3-1 series. Man, excited for Saturday.
Yeah, it's always a little lazy when he just pulls up from 3. And I mean, you could say that about a lot of French people. Isn't that a stereotype about them? They're lazy, they don't wanna work. So maybe he needs to be in America a couple more years. He needs to do what a lot of these tourists are doing for the World Cup. Coming over here, maybe he needs to stop going to parks and drawing, and he needs to go to Buc-ee's or Waffle House or maybe a Walmart and get a little bit more Americanized. And you know what? Get your ass in the paint. You know what he should do? During the off season, take a little trip down to Lowe's. Okay? Go to the paint section. Get comfortable in there. Spend some time. You can even meditate in the paint section if you want, but get comfortable in the paint, because that's where your ass should be, Wemby. You're 7'6". You might be 7'7". Get in the goddamn paint. I don't care if you're tired. This is the NBA Finals, dude. Suck it up. You're
Yeah, I think
22. You're 22 years old. What?
Yeah, I think his number one priority the offseason should just be like focusing on his conditioning and making sure that he still has his legs at the end of, keep in mind, this is game 4 of the NBA finals. I mean, he's had 2 months playoff games, obviously a long season. I think this is the most games that he's ever played in an 8-month span in his life. So obviously he's gonna have to be able to learn to handle that grind, moving forward. I think it's harder because of the way that his body's built. I think those threes are less problematic if he wasn't so tired. The problem is he doesn't have his legs, so it's harder for him to be able to make that. I would like to see him too later in games when he is tired. Try to just go towards that extended elbow area. I know that, the mid-range game is sort of a lost art and something that a lot of people look to steer clear of. It's more just free throws, layups, dunks, and threes. But I feels like that's going in almost every time. It's such a drop in the bucket for him. It just feels like it's so close because of how tall and how long his arms are that I would really focus on that if I was him. I do think that, as he gets older, he fills out more and his handle gets better and his ability to his endurance gets better. I think his game could resemble Kevin Durant more and more. Except obviously defensively be a way better player. We'll see. I think that's the main focus for him moving this offseason. But we'll have to see. We still got another 48 minutes to go on Saturday.
Not the off season yet. Thank God. At least San Antonio went and got one. Could you imagine if that was to end the 4-0 sweep? Oh my God. That would have been maybe the greatest ending to a finals ever. I would probably say so. It's either that or like Michael Jordan's step back against Utah in 98. Trying to think of what other like fantastic endings. 2016, keep bringing that up obviously. Great series. Um, you know, even the ending of game 7 in 2013, that was a pretty good one as well too. Couple of clutch LeBron shots. Although it wasn't within, I guess, necessarily one score right at the end, but still underrated game 7 in 24 or 2013. Um, but yeah, I'm just really hoping we get a game 6. Even if New York finishes it off in 6, I'd rather see 2 more games of this series and then finish it off in MSG and at least have that moment of like, can Wemby go into MSG in a game 6 and force a game 7? Because that would be super lit going into that. Um, just hope this, just hope the Knicks don't kill him and finish him off in 5, and then we go, well, great series, a little shorter than we wanted, but great series nonetheless. And I mean, like I said last pod, every game's been so good and they just keep one-upping each other. So who knows what game 5 has in store? Maybe we go to overtime after a 20-point Spurs comeback, Like I'm I'm not ruling anything out. I'm not ruling anything out in this series. We have literally seen it all. So what a what a good thing for the NBA. And, game 6, if Wemby's playing at MSG and the French men's soccer team is playing in New York as well too, that could be a great day or a bad day for old Frances. So I think everybody wants it to go 6, obviously. Get one more game in New York. I mean, it's been feels feels more important there. LA, Boston, New York, just those are the 3 cities where the finals game feels more. You know what I mean? So I'm just hoping we
Yeah,
get
the
one more.
Intuit Dome, there's nothing like watching a game there. I mean, there's so many toilets.
The wall, Todd. Do not disrespect the wall. And this is not a Trump at MSG thing. This is the wall in Southern California. Well, I get more Northern California than on the border. You know what I'm saying? The Clippers have a wall in their stadium. Anyway, and it's full of fans of all creeds and colors, and we love them all. And with that, I bid you guys adieu. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, follow us on Twitter, The Fast Break with DA, TikTok, The Fast Break with DA, I think it is. You'll find it. Probably not, actually. We're probably getting shadow banned by Elon. But I hope everybody has a great rest of your day, and Hopefully, the next time we're checking in, we're going to a game 6. Todd, good job by you, buddy.
Yeah, good job by you, bud. Love you guys.